for inviting me to speak today with their colleagues. Yes, I have coordinated publication of this extreme heat and agriculture report. And today's presentation is mainly about a summary of what we discussed in the report. I don't know how long my presentation will take, 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so. And if time allows, I would also be happy to hear from you participating in the meeting today, your experience, your ideas about how heat has affected agriculture and how to manage the risk better. I'm a climate scientist by training, and although I'm now formally working on the application of climate weather information in the agriculture sector, but I don't have a formal training in agrometeorology. I think many of you are expert in different topics of relevance to extreme heat with crop health or livestock health. I'll be also be interested in learning from you. So I share my screen. Yeah. All right. Do you see the screen? Oh, okay. All right. So as a background, there has been a lot of attention to the extreme heat issue. Mid-2024, UN Secretary General he launched this call to action on extreme heat, not only on agriculture sector, but across the sectors. But the discussion has been more about human health, how heat stress is impacting people's well-being. Although all of us who's working in agriculture sector know that heat is a tremendous risk. There's nothing new about it, but the agriculture sector was not really given enough attention to within the global discussion on extreme heat. Last year, a group of UN agencies, including FAO, published the Extreme Heat Risk Governance Framework and Toolkit. This also has a focus on human health, but also pays attention to other sectors like energy, agriculture, and others. On the other hand, FAO and the WMO has a long-term partnership going back decades. And we realize there is a critical knowledge gap in the topic of extreme heat and agriculture. There has been lots of papers, academic papers that were published on very specific topic on the relationship between heat and wheat, heat and maize, livestock health, different species of livestock. There has been a tremendous amount of research, but there was no comprehensive overview document available. So we decided to fill this knowledge gap, FAO and WMO together. So the report was conceived late 2024. It took us almost a year and a half to get it written and published. But we finally launched last week on the first day. In the report, we focus on agriculture production, crop, livestock, forestry, fisheries, aquaculture, broadly defined, because FAO works on all these areas. And we also discuss agricultural worker health. There has been lots of literature and reports on health in general, but we focus only on the agricultural workers who need to work outside for farming activities. We had to draw the line for the scope of the report. So we do not cover post-harvest, transport, storage, cold chains. Those are out of the scope. Socioeconomic impacts, financial analysis, economic analysis in dollar terms, or global, local markets and trades of agricultural commodities. Those are beyond the scope of the report. Food security and nutrition, that's also beyond the scope of the report. In this report, we focus only on production. Even that, we found a lot of literature. So this report is 100 pages long, but 1/4 of the pages is actually devoted to the list of references. Literally hundreds and maybe thousands papers were reviewed to write this report. So it's largely a literature review, but there are many boxes inserted throughout the report. Those are mainly contributed by external writers, including Nabansu. And we did some original analysis for worker heat stress and Brazilian extreme heat event. Report content covers these topics. We start by discussing meteorology of extreme heat, and then we discuss an overview of extreme heat impact pathways for agriculture. So this is the most important figure, actually, figure 3 or so in the report. This summarizes pretty much all the pathways from extreme heat to impact in some element of agriculture production. My presentation, I try to highlight each of these arrows depicted in this illustration. Because this is the most important figure in the report. We discuss vulnerabilities, explanation of these impact pathway arrows. We also discuss observed impacts in the past and the projection of impacts under climate change conditions. The findings are obvious. We all know that extreme heat is getting more serious in terms of frequency and intensity, both of them. So in my presentation today, I don't discuss observation and projection much, but focus more on vulnerabilities. The report concludes with a section on adaptation and then a Brazilian case study. So yeah, let's go to the next slide. A few definitions. We make clear what we mean by extreme heat, heat stress, heat wave, some of the key terms that are often used in confusing manners. So earlier chapter of the report defines some of the critical terms carefully. Extreme heat in our report refers to temperatures that surpass critical thresholds, causing significant physiological stress or physical harm to living organisms. It can also trigger cascading effects on ecosystems, human health, and essential resources. We need to make a distinction between extreme heat and heat wave. Heat wave can be defined easily with observation, duration, and temperature number. But extreme heat is more better understood in terms of its context and impact. So it's more associated with the outcomes of the negative outcomes from heat. So this is how we are using the word extreme heat. While heat waves and marine heat waves are more meteorological terms, heat waves, prolonged period of abnormally hot weather lasting from several days to weeks. There are different ways to look at it. You can set absolute thresholds or percentiles, depending on what you want to learn. Marine heat waves is an equivalent, but for ocean water. Again, prolonged periods of abnormally warm water, but in the ocean. At the surface or deeper in the ocean, lasting days and months, and can be covering a very large area in the sea. Heat stress, on the other hand, is impact of excessive heat on a reference organism related to the species tolerance levels. So the threshold of heat-inducing stress changes among species, but also developmental stages of a species. So crops go through different growth stage, and heat tolerance level may be different depending on the growth stage. Individuals commonly show evidence of acclimation as temperatures rise, but there are limits. Drought is often discussed within the same context as extreme heat, but we need to make a distinction because drought is primarily a hydrological problem to begin with. It's a slow creeping phenomenon of prolonged precipitation deficiency, and but extreme heat can intensify drought. But we cannot say extreme heat triggers a drought. It's a closely associated hazard, but we need to make a distinction. There are different types of droughts, like meteorological drought, hydrological drought, socioeconomic drought, agricultural drought, but I don't get into the detail. But the point is, drought is more a water problem. There's a thing called flash drought. This is more rapidly developing drought condition, depleting soil moisture very quickly over days or weeks. And this type of drought, flash drought, can be associated with extreme heat, can be triggered by heat. This diagram summarizes these different phenomena in spatial-temporal chart. Yellow arrows are the ones who I explained. These phenomena operates in different time scales from days to seasons. Extreme heat event typically happens between the scales of days to months. There are also underlying mechanisms that may amplify extreme heat. Global climate change is one that's increasing mean temperature. So there are more chances of heat waves of more intense magnitude and higher frequency because of long-term climate change due to greenhouse gas emissions and concentrations in the atmosphere. Also important mechanisms like El Nino, La Nina, ENSO, and other annual climate variability may amplify heat wave events and thus consequently extreme heat events in different parts of the world depending on the season. And now we are seeing ENSO neutral condition, but soon it's predicted that El Nino is happening in the next couple of months. And this is important also for understanding and predicting heat events for the rest of the year. So from here on, I'm gonna explain this diagram, but just introduction to how to understand this diagram. Extreme heat is in the center, and you see a number of boxes surrounding it, but pay attention to these pink boxes. These are the main impacts in agriculture production for crop, livestock, water species, worker health, and forest and other land cover. Thick lines, thick arrows are more direct impact that extreme heat is causing, while thin arrows are more indirect impacts. And there are a few more meteorological boxes. Drought and flash drought is here. There are intermediate effects that are in different color, like blue and orange. But this diagram, in the end, nicely connects all the impact pathways and intermediate effects in one single diagram. So, starting from the easy one, agriculture worker stress. So obviously, direct pathway is extreme heat impacts the health of agricultural workers through direct physiological heat stress and reduced worker productivity. There are lots of studies on this, not necessarily agricultural workers, but the effect on outdoor workers, including construction people and others. And all the findings conclude that there is a serious risk for health of outdoor workers heat stroke risks, of course, but also potential kidney diseases and others that may be indirectly caused by prolonged period of working conditions under heat. Indirect pathway to worker stress, maybe from the water demand. Extreme heat increases water demands of all organisms. So crops, obviously, but also people need more water. And if water is not provided sufficiently, or if the workers do not have access to water easily, this can negatively affect the worker health. Next pink box is crop, trees, and forest loss and damage. So all these types of plants are combined. Direct effect is the same. It's a physiological heat stress impacting these species. There are many indirect pathways, also compromising crop productivity, loss, and damage. Those are the many thin arrows pointing into the pink box. Extreme heat may shift suitability zone of plants, impacting the areas where forests and traditional crops grow. So some areas may be no longer suitable for growing a traditional crop because of frequent occurrence of heat waves. Higher water demand, it's the same problem as workers. Extreme heat can also change pest and disease patterns. This may impact crops and its production. Indirectly, less productive or less healthy agriculture worker can lead to productivity loss for crops or forest resources. And last indirect pathway is through water stress. So drought and flash drought may worsen because of heat, and then this impacts the crop production. Next box is livestock productivity loss. Again, the direct pathway is heat stress. Different species, animals have different tolerance levels. There are lots of studies again, but in general, heavy animals have a lower tolerance in terms of temperature. So beef, cattle, dairy cows, they are more vulnerable than others in general. There's lots of studies on dairy milk production level is lowers after the extreme heat event, and this can continue through the current lactation cycle, not only during the heat event, but for the entire lactation cycle. Also, the quality may be impacted, protein content and fat content. There are indirect pathways also here for the animals. Extreme heat can impact fodder growth and quality. And this can also lead to livestock productivity losses. Other indirect pathways are usual suspects that I mentioned: water demand, pest disease, worker stress. The next one is fish species, either in freshwater or in marine water. Again, the physiological heat stress is the direct pathways, but extreme heat can change the water quality, reduces the level of dissolved oxygen in water, and also the heat condition can fuel leading to harmful algal blooms, and these can impact the species in the waters. Extreme heat can also disturb the food chain. This is a bit hard to simulate and understand, but the foundation and keystone species in aquatic environments may be disrupted, and this can affect the productivity of capture fisheries in the areas. Marine heat wave make the fish species traditional habitat less suitable, and fishes may decide to migrate to cooler water. Again, the capture fisheries may be impacted. They don't find the same fishes anymore in extreme heat events. Other indirect pathways are the same as other boxes I discussed. Pest and disease, worker stress, those are indirectly impacting fisheries. One little but important box is loss of forest, rangeland, cropland. This may not happen along with extreme heat, but often combined with drought. There's a drying of vegetation and heightened significantly the wildfire risks. In Japan, there's currently a big wildfire, forest fire going on, and it's very hard to contain, and it's getting closer to the human residence also. This wildfire risk can lead to loss of forests, but also rangelands and croplands. This may have a significant implication because there's you see there's an arrow from pink box to the center, to extreme heat, because the impact on land further contributes to loss of carbon storage in forests, and there may be compensatory expansion of livestock and crop production, leading to further loss of carbon storage in the terrestrial areas, and subsequently leading to increasing atmospheric greenhouse gas concentration, and climate change may get worse. So there is a potential negative feedback here from extreme heat through wildfire, loss of forest, back to climate change and more extremes. So up until here, I discussed each of these impact pathways, those are arrows, thick arrows, and thin arrows. But I should stress that we should pay more attention to compound events. When heat and drought happens at the same time, the impact may be much greater than each individual event. There's also incidences of heat and wet event combination and others. But most typically, heat and drought combined together, compound events, can make us devastating impacts. This can be discussed better with the examples from Brazil, so I don't get into detail, but the point is that heat often impacts multiple components of agri-food system at the same time, that we call compound impacts. One single extreme event can be big food security matter if you take the country's whole agri-food systems. I'm gonna show you some key figures we produced for analyzing Brazilian extreme heat event from late 2023 through 2024. So first, temperature. The climatology is on the top from January to December, and anomaly with respect to climatology is at the bottom. You can see that red areas increasing second half of 23 and throughout 24. It was significantly warmer year and a half. Precipitation anomaly is important thing we also looked at. We see that there was in some months like late 23 and mid 24, there was a deficiency in precipitation. So we see that there may have been a compound events between heat and drought during these two years. That's what the meteorological data says. But we looked also at agriculture drought condition. So this is index that FAO monitors, agriculture stress index, basically a measure of vegetation health. We looked at the same periods from 23 to 24 when the drought condition, meteorological drought condition was most severe, but we did not find vegetation health conditions, water stressed vegetation health condition was compromised. Only we see red spots here and there in the eastern part of Brazil. So this indicates that water stress was not a problem. Most of the areas in Brazil throughout 23 and 24. So any damage, productivity loss we have seen may be more attributed to heat conditions than water conditions. We looked at a variety of crops important for the country, but this is an example for soy. Soy was under tremendous heat stress, but there are regional variations. On the left, that's climatology or percentage of days where max temperature, daily max temperature was above 30 degrees, critical temperature for soy. And 23 numbers is much dark red colors, indicating the soy was under big heat stress, especially in mid to northern parts of Brazil. There are regional differences and seasonal differences, but we can see that the greater impact were for north area, northeast areas, and Midwest areas. We also looked at animal heat stress condition. This is an example of swine. On the left, that's a climatology of swine heat stress categories, and how many days in a year fall under mild category or moderate category or severe category for the index we use, which is called temperature humidity index. For animal health, it's not enough to look at temperature, but we also need to look at humidity. This is an important. These two variables together can tell us the stress of animals. So the point here is that there is a huge shift in the number of days in categories under mild condition or moderate condition. From mild to and moderate conditions, there was an increase instead of severe conditions not suitable for swine health in both 2023 and 24, as you see on the rightmost column, red areas for both years. This is another way to look at the same thing, but just to understand better the severe heat stress conditions started around September 23 and throughout the year 24, the swines were under heat stress, severe heat stress, and the worst condition probably in the last 40 or 45 years, because the thin gray lines you see in the background are all the historical years, and red and blue lines are above them, greater than them, most of them. Wildfire risks. There's an index called Fire Weather Index. This is a good index for analysis of wildfire risks. We see that 2023 was okay. There was not much fire risks, but in 24, we see red areas, especially Midwest areas that had a tremendous risk increases in terms of fire risks. And this was confirmed by the real statistics from the Forest Resources Agency in Brazil. Last bar on the graph is 24. You see that the number of fire count was the highest in the last 15 years or so. And burnt area by fires was even serious. I think the second highest burnt area size in the last 20 years. So 24 was confirmed to be a serious fire season for Brazil. Last analysis we did for Brazil was agricultural worker health. For this one, we used wet bulb globe temperature and a threshold of 26. This is suitable for understanding outdoor worker health conditions. Interestingly, this has clear north-south contrast. Most of the increased worker health stress conditions were found in northern areas, not much in southern areas. A few more slides to show you. At the end of the report, we discuss adaptation, the importance of adaptation. However hard we invest in mitigation efforts, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, because of the Earth system's inertia, we don't expect the temperature to start decreasing anytime soon. So we need to learn how to adapt to heat waves and extreme heat. There are a whole range of menus available adaptation options for extreme heat. We don't discuss them in detail in the report, but we just do a typology categorizations of different types of adaptation options. Genetic options, environmental options, management options, and on the columns we have tactical adaptation options, which can be done fairly quickly. Strategic options. This may take time and investments, and transformative options like shift in production areas. This cannot be done alone by farmers, but this requires coordinated actions and policies by government. So I'm a climate scientist by training. I'm working a lot on climate services, agro-meteorological advisory services. India also has a very advanced system in many parts of the country in terms of this type of technology. Heat is more predictable hazard compared to precipitation-related hazard. So we should take advantage of that, using early warnings to encourage actions for farmers to manage heat risks better. This is another way to look at a similar idea, but in spatial temporal scale. We need to plan well if we really want to transform our agri-food systems in a climate resilient way, managing extreme heat risks and other related hazards. Like breeding programs can be transformative, but it requires significant coordination efforts and investments. So I think this is the last slide. Some of the key messages we have been communicating since last week is that extreme heat is destabilizing entire food systems. Although the report focuses more on production, extreme heat events are driving agricultural losses. This has happened already in the past decades, and this will continue into the future if we don't take action. Agriculture workers are on the front lines of extreme heat, and ecosystems supporting food production are getting closer to critical limits. There are limits to adaptation, and there are risks that we cannot manage anymore. Extreme heat risk governance is important. That integrates extreme heat planning across all sectors, not only agriculture, not only health, and all levels of government. So establishing clear institutional mandates, fostering interdisciplinary collaboration, and ensuring that the national level heat action plans also directly support agriculture resilience is important, particularly for the most vulnerable smallholders in the sector. Climate services have a tremendous potential for management of extreme heat risks, but resilience and adaptation has limits. So ultimately, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, increasing carbon storage, and mitigating climate change is essential and the ultimate solution to extreme heat risks. This is all I have to